Transfer tax is the tax that is levied on the transfer of real property from one owner to another. Now in Kentucky, the transfer tax is known as the real estate transfer tax and is paid by the buyer and seller at the time of closing. Now the purpose of this tax is to generate revenue for the state and local governments, which can be used to fund various public services and projects. Now, my name is Rock Daniels. I'm the Bluegrass Realtor, a 20-year veteran realtor, real estate investor, and a licensed general contractor. So take a moment, hit that subscribe button so you and I can stay connected in future videos. Now, in Kentucky, the real estate transfer tax is 50 cents for every $500 of purchase price. This means that if you buy a home for $200,000, the transfer tax would be $400. The tax is typically split between the buyer and the seller, with each party paying half of the total amount. Now, it's important to note that there are some exceptions to this rule. For example, if the transfer of the property is exempt from taxation, then no transfer tax would be due. Now, exemptions may be available for certain types of transfers, but as transfers between spouses or transfers that are part of a bankruptcy proceeding, in addition, there are some situations where the buyer or seller may be responsible for paying a larger share of the transfer tax. For example, if the purchase agreement specifies that the seller will pay the transfer tax, then the seller would be responsible for paying the entire amount of that transfer tax. Now, similarly, if the buyer is financing the purchase with a mortgage, the lender may require the buyer to pay a larger share of the transfer tax as part of the closing costs. Now, overall, the responsibility of paying the real estate transfer tax in the Commonwealth of Kentucky is typically split between the buyer and the seller. However, there are some exceptions or specific situations where one particular party is responsible for paying a larger share of the transfer tax. Now, it's important to work with a qualified realtor and an attorney to understand the specific requirements and the responsibilities that are associated with buying or selling real estate in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Now, it's also important to note that the real estate transfer tax is just one of several costs associated with buying a home in the Commonwealth. Other costs may include appraisal fees, inspection fees, title fees, and other closing costs. It is important to budget for these expenses when planning to buy or sell a home, as these can add up quickly and impact the overall cost of the transaction right here. So, in conclusion, the real estate transfer tax in the Commonwealth is paid by both the buyer and the seller at the time of closing. The tax rate is 50 cents for every $500 of purchase price, and the responsibility for paying that tax is typically split between the two parties. However, there are exceptions to specific situations where one party is responsible for paying a larger share of the transfer tax. So when buying or selling a home in the Commonwealth, it's important to work with a qualified realtor or an attorney to understand the specific requirements and the responsibilities associated with the transaction, including the payment of the real estate transfer tax. Now remember, guys, my name is Rock Daniels. I am the Bluegrass Realtor. So hit that subscribe button so you and I can stay connected. Thank you so much for stopping by here today. I hope this has been very informative, and I look forward to seeing you again here soon. Have a wonderful day.